Sektor is a polyphonic wavetable synthesizer with a highly intuitive user interface and a lot of customization features. This synth was built to use a low amount of system resources while having a massive high quality sound, and it comes with state-of-the-art features such as image-based GUI resizing, drag and drop routing, MPE support, a built-in multisampler engine and much more. Sektor is deeply customizable and offers many features to make it your own. You can change colors, buttons, knobs, backgrounds, skins, assign your own images to expansion packs or download content from the internet. You also can create custom-made arps and sequencies with the built-in sequencer, add your own samples and waveforms, create your very own presets and expansion packs including your own skins, and offer your content to others or share it with your friends. But before we go into the details, I would like to give you a brief introduction. On the left side you will find 4 sound sources, a sub-oscillator, a sampler and 2 wavetable oscillators. At the bottom, you will find the modulation tools behind the keys. On the right side, the master envelope and 2 filters, and in the center, the screen, which gives you access to the OSC+ page, sequencer, preset browser, effect racks and settings screen where you can change skins, colors and activate MPE or rainbow mode. And at the top you will find 3 macro knobs which you can set up and name to your liking. So, that's it already for a brief introduction. Let's listen to some presets and then we will take a closer look at Sektor. So for a quick sound demo that's enough, but for sure there are way more presets in Sektor. The standard edition comes with over 500 presets, the signature edition comes with over 700 presets. But before we talk about these 2 editions and the content, let's have a closer look at Sektor. The 2 main sound sources in Sektor are these 2 wavetable oscillators, OSC-A and OSC-B. At the moment, only OSC-A is active. To activate OSC-B, we simply click the on button. To change a waveform, we simply click the screen. A list will appear and we select our waveform. We also can use these previews and next buttons or the morph knob. To change a wavetable, we click the load button. A list will appear and we select our wavetable from many wavetables Sektor comes with. You also can use the previews and next buttons to jump to the next wavetable in the list. OSC-A and OSC-B are basically the same except one feature. OSC-B has a FM from A knob. If you increase this parameter, oscillator A will FM modulate oscillator B. At the moment we hear the result of both oscillators. If we want to hear only the FM modulation result, we can decrease the level of oscillator A. Yeah, and this is how you do FM modulation, very simple, in Sektor. So let's talk about the unison. Every oscillator in Sektor can generate up to 8 voices. We increase the voices with this knob, and with detune we can detune them. And with the stereo knob we increase the stereo spread. This is where Osc+ comes into play. Osc+ gives us precise control over each individual voice being generated by this oscillator. We can control the pitch for every voice, the detune, stereo, phase, level and wavetable position. Let's load basic waveforms and set the oscillator to 3 voices. Now we can say voice number 1 should be a saw, voice number 2 something that looks like a square, and voice number 3 something that looks like a pulse wave. We can adjust the pitch for each individual voice. So let's set the first voice to -12 half notes, what is -1 octave basically. And the third voice maybe to +12 half notes, what is +1 octave. Other features are the pitch, phase, invert, retrigger, panorama, and the filter knob, where we can decide if we want to route the signal from the oscillator to filter 1 or filter 2. So let's say we set filter 1 to a low pass filter and filter 2 to a high pass filter. And if we set the knob to the center position, we basically send the signal to both filters at once. Why this is a very interesting feature, I will explain later when we talk about the 2 effect racks in Sektor. To activate the sub-oscillator, we simply click the on button. If we want to change the octave for the oscillator, we click the screen. We can drive the sub-oscillator, adjust the level, and also we can send the oscillator to filter 1, 2 or both. To activate the sampler, we click the on button and select the sample from the list. There are 2 kinds of samples in Sektor. We have regular samples, which are basically just one wave file. You also can add your own wave files to Sektor, and we have multisample instruments. Sektor will automatically detect if you have installed a heat-up or any of its expansions on your hard drive. If this is the case, Sektor will show you all your heat-up instruments and expansion packs in this list. Also, you can activate the color, what is basically a bandpass filter, and adjust it with this knob. You can adjust the level and send the sampler to filter 1, 2 or both. Here you can adjust the pitch of your sampler. Simply click it, drag it up or down. There are more sound sources in Sektor. Usually the LFOs are modulation tools. In Sektor you can use them as oscillators as well. To do that, you activate Osc mode, bipolar, and send the LFO to filter input 1 or filter input 2. If you click the screen, you can select different waveforms. You also can add your own. You can do that for LFO 1, 2, 3 and 4. Sektor comes with a great set of modulation tools. We have 2 ADSRs, 3 modulation envelopes and 4 low frequency oscillators. But when we talk about the modulation tools, we also should look at the expression page. The expression page allows us to link our MIDI input controls with every parameter in Sektor. Here we can choose from velocity, pressure, modulation wheel and keyboard tracking. If we activate MPE mode, we will be able to select more sources. But we will talk about this later when we talk about the Rolly keyboard. For now, let's deactivate MPE mode. If we right-click the expression envelope, we can choose between positive, negative or bipolar mode. To connect a MIDI input control, we click the destination button and route via drag and drop. And now we can control the wavetable morph button with our modulation wheel. The ADSRs in Sektor are simple but very useful tools. To connect the source with any destination in Sektor, we use drag and drop, or we click on destinations and select from the list. Using the amount knob, we can adjust the sensitivity and polarity of our modulation. For more advanced modulations, you will find 3 modulation envelopes in Sektor. You can sync the grid to your host by clicking the sync button. Here you can select from different grid sizes. Let's go with quarters and add a new point by double-clicking the grid. To delete a point, you right-click it. You also can bend the curves. Let's connect our modulation envelope to oscillator morph and talk about the modes. At the moment we are in one-shot mode. We also have loop mode, loop release mode. Therefore we have to give our sound a bit release. As soon as we release the key, the modinf will go into release mode. And we have sustain mode. To define our loop start and loop end points or release points, we right-click a point and set it as loop end and loop start. The modinfs in Sektor have 2 trigger modes, every note and first note only. Every note means the modulation envelope will be per voice, and first note means the modulation envelope will do its thing until no voices are playing anymore. To change the polarity, you click the polarity button. There you can choose positive, negative or bipolar. You also have a preset browser for the modulation envelopes, means you can save modulation envelope curves, load them with the previous and next buttons or from this list. To connect the LFO to any destination in Sektor, we again use drag and drop or choose from the list. With the amount knob, we can adjust the polarity and sensitivity, and we also can enable or disable our destination. We also can sync the LFO speed to our music host and adjust the speed with this knob. We can control the gain and the smoothness of our waveform. We can activate retrigger and bipolar mode as well. We also can do frequency modulation. Therefore, we connect the LFO to the phase of our oscillator, activate Osc mode, and select our octave. In Sektor, we also can modulate almost every effect parameter with our modulation tools. So let's connect LFO2 to reverb mix. And this is how we modulate the reverb mix. Sounds amazing. One thing I didn't mention so far, when you right-click a destination, you have a lot of extra controls like MIDI learn, MIDI unlearn. You can enable or disable modulation sources. You can add modulation sources. You can remove a specific modulation source, or you can remove all modulation sources. So just as a little tip, right-click gives you some more options. Whenever you are unsure about a feature, just hover over it for a time. A pop-up will appear and will give you some hints and tips for almost every feature. Sektor sequencer is similar to a piano roll with 4 octaves. To activate it, we click the on button. We can save presets or load presets using the previous and next buttons, or by selecting a preset from the list. Let's talk about the retrigger mode. When retrigger is on, the sequencer will always start from the beginning of the sequence for the first note played. When retrigger is off, the sequencer is free running, which means even when a note is not playing, the sequencer is still silently running in the background. When you play a new note, the sequencer will carry on from the position in the sequence it would have been at if the note was still held. The sequencer in Sektor is synced to the tempo of your music host. To change the speed, you use the speed knob. To change the amount of steps you want to use, you use the steps knob. In Sektor sequencer, you have 5 ARP modes: played, up, down, down, up. What this means, let's say we play a chord. So basically, the sequencer is now playing something like this. If we set it to up, means the sequencer starts at the lowest incoming note. In this case, this would be A, then it would go to C, and then it would go to E. If we set it to down, it will start at E, will go down to C, and then down to A. If we set it to up down, it will go from A to C to E, back to C, back to A, and so on and so forth. In Sektor, we basically have 2 filters. We can select between filter 1 and 2 by using these 2 buttons. And with the filter knob, we decide if we want to send a signal to filter 1, 2, or both. In this screen, we can set the filter type: low pass, high pass, and band pass. And we also can set the filter slope in decibels per octave. 12 decibels per octave and 24 decibels per octave. We can drive the filter input, adjust the cutoff, the resonance, key tracking, and we also can adjust the envelope amount. The envelope is the ADSR, which controls the filter cutoff. We also can click into the filter screen and adjust the cutoff and resonance by simply dragging around our filter curve. When we, for instance, want to use the ADSR, we bring in some attack. But now we have to decide if we want to affect the cutoff in a positive or negative way. So means when we bring in the envelope to a positive amount, and when we bring in the envelope to a negative amount, this happens. And some people may think, oh, the release is not doing anything. Keep in mind that the sound itself needs release to give the filter some time that the release affects our cutoff. So let's bring in some release. And that's it already for the filter. In Sektor, we have two effect racks. To switch between these two effect racks, we simply use these two buttons at the top. Effect rack 2, effect rack 1. To activate an effect, we click the circle on the left side. To deactivate it, we click it again. We also can change the effect order by simply dragging the effect up and down. This happens in real time. You will hear the result before you even release the mouse key. You also can define the inputs for each effect rack. At the moment, both filters send to effect rack 1. We also can set the input to filter 1, means now filter 1 sends to effect rack 1, and here we set the input to filter 2. Filter 2 sends to effect rack 2. If we now activate oscillator B and send it to filter 2, we have two completely separate signal chains from the sound source to the output of the plugin. Oscillator A sends to filter 1. Filter 1 sends to effect rack 1, and oscillator B sends to filter 2, and filter 2 sends to effect rack 2. If we change now oscillator B to a square and activate reverb and set it to 100% wet. And in effect rack 1, we activate the bit crusher. Now we hear the dry signal of a bit crushed analog saw from oscillator A mixed with a reverb from a square generated by oscillator B. You also can input effect rack 1 into effect rack 2. Therefore we select in effect rack 2 input effect rack 1. Now we have cascaded effect racks. So these two effect racks are serialized. We can activate a reverb in effect rack 1 and activate a second reverb in effect rack 2 with different settings. We have two reverbs serialized. Let's go through some of the effects here. We have distortion, where you can select between a bit crusher, hard clip, overdrive. We have the arena reverb built in. We can choose between plate and room. We have a compressor, what is the Vice One compression engine. We have a phaser, a chorus, a delay, a pana. Some of you may know this already from Heat Up. We have a trance gate, where you can adjust the smoothness, steps, speed, and so on and so forth. And we have a 4-band EQ, which is also pretty cool. Here you can adjust the bandwidth. You can select between low pass, high pass, and peak. So here we could activate a high pass, here a low pass. You can do this here with this button, or you can right click the EQ point and select your EQ type. To change a skin in Sektor, you go to the settings screen. Here you click select your skin. Sektor also allows you to change a lot of colors. Let's go to GUI colors. Here you can change the main screen color. If we set this to blue, for instance, it will affect everything that's in the screen, as well everything you will see in the modulation tools. You also can change the modulation color. So if we set Modernth 2 to morph, now the modulation color is blue. We can make it green or purple. We can change the logo color. The pop-up background color, which is basically this background. So let's set it to green. And the pop-up text color, let's set it to black. We can change the color of the keys as well. And the color of the gap between the keys. We also can change the envelope point color. We are talking about these little points here. We also can change the color for the enable, on and off buttons, which are these buttons here. So enable off, we could make this color, and enable on, if we click it, we maybe switch to this color. You don't have to click save. Sektor automatically saves this. So the next time we load this skin, our settings are restored. Another feature in Sektor is rainbow mode. When we activate rainbow mode, the color of our modulation indicators and our keys will be randomized. How to create your own skin is a bit more complicated. For this, we will provide an extra video, a Photoshop file, a Photoshop action, and explain how this works on our website. For those that are interested in creating skins for Sektor, visit our website and look for more informations about how to skin Sektor. To create our own expansion in Sektor, we click the expansion button. It will take us to the expansion pack screen. Here we can see everything we have installed so far. And there we click create expansion. We give it a name, Minion Sounds for instance, and there's our expansion Minion Sounds. To save a preset into our expansion, we simply hit save preset, give it a name, preset 1, and there we go. The same we can do for the modulation envelopes. We can give them a name, Minion Mod 1, and for the sequencer as well. And we call it Minion ARP 1. When we click now this list, you will see that Sektor has created a new category. So this ARP is from our expansion pack Minion Sounds, so it will have its own category. The same for the modulation envelope. And for sure, our presets can be loaded from our expansion as well. In the expansion screen, you will find a button Go to Folder. When we click this button, Sektor will open the expansion folder of Sektor. Here we will see all our expansions. Let's go into Minion Sounds. Here we can edit the expansion image. Add new wavetables or waveforms, include our skins, organize our sequency presets and also add our own samples. Let's edit the image for our expansion. And there we go. Now we have our own image for our own expansion. But how do we deliver this expansion now to our friends? So all we do is we right click this expansion and say make into single file for sharing. Sektor has created now a file, what is basically a zip file, and you can close the screen or click show in folder. Sektor will open the folder and show you your file. This is the file you can share with your friends. But how can your friends now load this file into Sektor? So let's assume this is now the system of your friend. All your friend has to do now is he drags this file into Sektor and boom, Sektor has automatically added the Minion Sounds expansion with all the content, with the sequencer presets, with the modern presets to Sektor. It's that simple. So now I would like to talk about the Roly keyboard. The Roly keyboard uses a new MIDI standard which gives us some additional controls we can use to modulate destinations in Sektor. For instance, we have the glide. We also can slide the keys, means we can slide them up and down. We have a pressure sensor, and for sure we have aftertouch and a lift feature which basically detects how fast or how slow you release a key. So let's connect the slide to the OSC1 morph. We go in destinations, connect the slide with OSC1 morph, and now by sliding up and down the key we can change the waveform. So usually when you connect a Roly keyboard to a PC or Mac, it will work straight away in every music host. FL Studio handles MIDI information a very unique way. Anyways, to use a Roly in FL Studio, you have to do an extra step. You go to Options, MIDI Settings, and assign a MIDI port to your Rolly keyboard. In this case, we have assigned port 1. Now we open Sektor and assign MIDI input port, in our case MIDI input port 1, to Sektor. Activate MPE mode in the settings. And now we are good to go to use our Rolly. Sektor is available now as digital download at initialaudio.com and comes with over 500 presets, over 200 wavetables, over 100 multisample instruments and 3 skins. We also have the signature bundle, which comes in a nice product box with a t-shirt, a USB storage in custom Sektor design, a Sektor sticker set, 200 bonus presets, a few extra wavetables and samples, and 6 bonus skins. So let's have a quick look at the skins. The standard edition comes with the light skin, same with white knobs and dark blue skin. And the signature edition comes with the afternoon skin, blue-orange skin, black skin, red skin and white skin in 2 versions. Yeah, and the beat we have used for this video is also from the signature edition, Tree of Life. Yeah. This is the beat, so you will find a lot of great presets in the signature edition. So, the free demo is available now at initialaudio.com. See you there. Have a great time. Thank you for watching. I'm out, guys.